Far beyond the bright stars known to most, deep in the unexplored reaches of the galaxy, the Zalthar Empire stood as the most powerful force anyone had ever seen. For centuries, their great fleets had conquered world after world, crushing any resistance without mercy or hesitation. Their technology was far beyond that of most other civilizations, with weapons that could destroy entire planets and shields that seemed impossible to break. The Zalthar saw themselves as rulers by right, their power absolute, and their control over their vast territories complete. Nothing and no one had dared to challenge them, and they believed this would never change. Their confidence grew into arrogance, and with each victory, they became more certain that they were untouchable. The Empire's leaders held grand councils in towering space stations, speaking of their invincibility and the endless expansion of their borders. To the Zalthar, other species were either tools to be used or obstacles to be destroyed. Among these were the humans, a relatively new and small species from a blue planet called Earth. The Zalthar regarded humans as primitive and unimportant, a minor nuisance at best. Their stories told of human ships wandering near the edges of known space, but no one took these tales seriously. To the Empire, humans lacked the advanced technology, discipline, and strength required to pose any real threat. So when rumors began to spread about a lone human ship moving into forbidden sectors, areas strictly controlled and heavily guarded by the Zalthar, many dismissed it as a mistake or a bluff. But some in the Empire's intelligence forces were uneasy. The human ship was not just wandering aimlessly, it was observed moving with purpose, evading patrols, and operating in ways that seemed unusual for a small, lone vessel. Whispers traveled through secret networks and low-ranking officers' mess halls. Could this one ship really survive so close to the Empire's heart without being destroyed? This question planted a seed of doubt in some minds, though it was quickly suppressed by pride and disbelief. The Empire's citizens, from soldiers to politicians, continued their daily lives believing in the untouchable strength of the Zalthar. But behind the scenes, some commanders grew restless. They began to watch the space lanes more closely, increasing patrols and sending probes to track the human ship's movements. Despite all efforts, the humans remained elusive, slipping through their defenses like shadows. The longer the ship remained, the more stories spread about its crew. Humans with fearless eyes and quick minds, using tactics that confused and frustrated even the most experienced alien officers. It was said the human ship operated with unusual teamwork and courage, attacking supply lines and communication satellites in ways that delayed the Empire's operations and sowed confusion. The humans seemed to understand something the Zalthar had forgotten, that technology alone was not enough to win a war, and that determination and cleverness could turn the tide. As the rumors grew, the Empire's arrogance began to crack, replaced by a growing unease. The Zalthar leaders had never faced such a challenge, especially not from a species they had long ignored. Their once unbreakable confidence was shaken, and questions arose. Was the Empire truly invincible? Could this one human ship be the start of something greater? The galaxy held its breath as the Dauntless, the name of the human ship, quietly made its way through the shadows of the Zalthar Empire, carrying with it the hope of a species that refused to be overlooked or defeated. What began as a simple exploration was quickly becoming a test of wills, a battle between an ancient empire and a new challenger that no one had expected. The first move had been made, and the future of the galaxy was about to change forever. Chayur, Dauntless, glided silently into the dark edge of Zalthar space, a lone ship unlike any the Empire had ever seen. Its hull was smooth, but bore the marks of battles past, worn edges and patched panels that told stories of survival rather than luxury or overwhelming power. To the alien scouts watching from their advanced ships, the Dauntless seemed almost out of place, like a relic from a forgotten era, a design so simple it was hard to believe it could pose any threat. But Captain Maya Carson and her crew knew better. They moved with calm precision, each action deliberate, every decision weighed carefully. The humans did not rely on overwhelming firepower or flashy technology. Instead, they used something far more dangerous: creativity, unpredictability, and unyielding determination. As the Dauntless slipped through sensor grids and evaded patrols, its crew began their quiet assault on the Zalthar Empire's carefully woven network. First, they struck supply convoys, sabotaging fuel lines and rerouting critical shipments. Each hit was surgical, designed to cripple without drawing the full attention of the massive Empire's forces. Communications were next, with the humans hacking into encrypted channels and feeding false information back to the Zalthar command. The Empire's flawless control started to fray, orders were delayed, and mistrust grew among their fleets. The Zalthar leaders, proud and confident, initially dismissed these disruptions as minor annoyances caused by petty pirates or malfunctioning equipment. They could not imagine a single ship, especially one so modest in appearance, could cause such chaos within their vast domain. But the humans' tactics were unlike anything the Zalthar had encountered before. Captain Carson and her team studied the alien patterns carefully, predicting patrol routes, using shadowed asteroids and dense nebulae as cover, always striking where the enemy least expected. Their weapons were not the biggest or most destructive, but their timing was perfect, their strategies bold and unexpected. The humans seemed to anticipate the Zalthar's every move, countering quickly and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Frustration grew among the Empire's commanders as the Dauntless continued to slip through defenses and disrupt their operations. They sent larger fleets to hunt the ship, confident that sheer numbers would overwhelm the lone human vessel. Yet, the humans adapted swiftly, using the terrain of space itself, gravitational fields, asteroid belts, and ion storms to level the playing field. With every encounter, the humans learned more about their enemy's strengths and weaknesses. Captain Carson's calm voice guided her crew through each challenge, inspiring confidence even when the odds seemed impossible. The crew's bond was strong, a mix of seasoned veterans and young recruits who believed in the mission's importance. Their goal was not conquest or glory, but to show the galaxy that humanity could stand tall against even the greatest empires. Slowly, word of the Dauntless spread through Zalthar ranks, a whisper turning into a shout. The once untouchable empire began to see cracks in their armor. Doubt crept into the minds of the Zalthar soldiers as the humans continued their raids. It was not just the physical damage, but the message behind it, that the empire could be challenged, that the arrogance of invincibility was a dangerous illusion. Each successful mission by the Dauntless shook the confidence of the empire further, creating tension and suspicion within their command. The humans' presence was a mystery, wrapped in enigma. How could such a small, seemingly outdated ship do so much damage? And what was their end goal? For Captain Maya Carson and her crew, the answer was clear: to remind the galaxy that no empire, no matter how powerful, was beyond reach when courage and cleverness combined. As the Dauntless prepared for the next strike, the tension in space thickened like a storm about to break, setting the stage for a confrontation that would change everything. The humans had arrived, and the Empire's untouchable reign was about to be tested like never before. The Zalthar Empire, stunned by the continuous disruptions caused by a single human ship, could no longer tolerate the challenge to their authority. In response, they gathered one of their largest war fleets ever assembled, a massive armada of sleek, deadly ships designed for swift destruction. Their mission was clear: find and destroy the Dauntless at all costs. The air, or rather the space around the outer borders of the Empire, grew tense as these warships advanced, filling the void with their immense presence and overwhelming firepower. But Captain Maya Carson and her crew did not panic. Instead, they readied themselves for a chase unlike any other, knowing that this would be a battle not just of weapons, but of minds and wills. The Dauntless slipped quietly into the chaos of the asteroid fields, a dense cluster of rock and ice tumbling through space. The massive Zalthar fleet followed, but their size made them slow and less maneuverable, and the humans took full advantage. With quick thinking, The Dauntless darted through narrow gaps where larger ships could not follow, disappearing behind enormous floating boulders, just as enemy scanners locked onto their last position. Every move by the humans was unpredictable, confusing the alien commanders and forcing them to split their fleet in search of a target that seemed to vanish at will. When the fleet regrouped and pushed the chase into a nearby nebula, a swirling cloud of gas and charged particles, the humans used the environment like a shield. Their ship's sensors were specially adapted to see through the fog, where the Zalthar relied on conventional technology that struggled to penetrate the dense mist. Within this cosmic cloud, the Dauntless launched a series of rapid strikes against smaller ships, disabling engines and weapons with pinpoint accuracy before retreating back into the swirling gas. The alien fleet's frustration grew as the humans danced just beyond reach, turning the nebula into a deadly maze. The humans' weapons were not the biggest or the loudest, but their engineers had developed unique tools, silent disruptors, that interfered with enemy communications and guidance systems, and precise electromagnetic pulses that temporarily blinded sensors. The Zalthar ships, despite their superior numbers, were often left scrambling to recover control of their vessels after each strike. As the chase moved closer to a nearby black hole, the danger increased dramatically. The gravitational forces threatened to pull both pursuer and prey into an endless abyss, but the humans were prepared. Captain Carson ordered the crew to push their ship's engines to the limit, navigating a perilous path along the event horizon, where even a tiny mistake could spell doom. The Zalthar fleet, reluctant to follow so close to the black hole's edge, hesitated, and the humans seized the moment to escape, leaving the aliens gasping at their audacity. Each close encounter tested the limits of human endurance and skill. The crew worked in perfect harmony, pilots steering through deadly hazards, engineers tuning weapons and shields on the fly, and tacticians predicting enemy moves with uncanny accuracy. Their teamwork turned the Dauntless into a ghost ship, always present, never caught. Meanwhile, back in the Zalthar command halls, tension mounted. Pride and confidence that once filled the halls began to crumble. The Empire's leaders, once certain of their invincibility, now faced whispers of doubt and fear among their officers. How could a single, seemingly outdated ship outwit and outmaneuver the mightiest fleet in the galaxy? What weaknesses had their empire overlooked? These questions gnawed at their minds, unsettling their command. The longer the chase went on, the more desperate the Zalthar became. Their strategy shifted from cautious pursuit to aggressive attacks, sending waves of ships to overwhelm the Dauntless. Yet every assault met with failure as humans adapted quickly, turning threats into opportunities. Each defeat was a blow to the Empire's reputation, and the legend of the Dauntless grew among both humans and aliens. It was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol of hope and resistance. Captain Maya Carson, aware of the heavy burden on her crew, never let fear or doubt show. Her calm determination inspired her team to keep pushing forward, even when exhaustion set in. She reminded them that their mission was bigger than any one battle. It was about proving that no empire was untouchable, that courage and cleverness could shake even the strongest foundations. As the cat-and-mouse game stretched on, the galaxy watched with bated breath. The clash was not just about technology or firepower, it was a test of spirit, intelligence, and willpower. The humans, against all odds, had turned the tables on an empire that had never known defeat. And now, as the Dauntless prepared for its next move, it was clear that the battle had only just begun, and that the fate of the galaxy might hang in the balance. The Dauntless had worn down the mighty Zalthar fleet, leaving their ships damaged, and their once unshakable morale in ruins. The alien empire that had ruled countless star systems with an iron grip now faced uncertainty and fear. Captain Maya Carson understood this moment was their chance, an opportunity to strike where it would hurt the most. She gathered her crew and explained a bold plan. A direct assault on the Zalthar's central command station, the heart of their empire's control and authority. This station was a fortress surrounded by thick shields, layered defenses, and countless elite guards. No one had dared challenge it before, believing it impossible to breach. Yet, The humans had no choice but to try, knowing that if they could expose the station's secrets, they might shatter the Empire from within. Using stolen access codes and detailed maps gathered from their earlier raids, the Dauntless slipped, past outer defenses under the cover of a nebula's swirling gases. The ship approached the station silently, avoiding detection by timing their approach during the station's routine sensor blind spots. Once close, a small team of specialists, led by Lieutenant Harper, prepared to board the station through a maintenance hatch overlooked by the alien guards. The humans moved quickly and quietly, their hearts pounding with the weight of the mission. Inside, the station was a maze of cold metal corridors and bright control rooms filled with advanced technology. As they hacked into communication arrays and data cores, they uncovered shocking truths: corruption at the highest levels of the Zalthar leadership, secret deals that enriched a few at the expense of many, and critical vulnerabilities in their command systems carefully hidden from the Empire's own fleet. These revelations were more than intelligence. They were a weapon that could topple the Zalthar's authority. While the infiltration team gathered this vital information, the rest of the Dauntless crew prepared for the inevitable fight outside. The Zalthar were not blind to the human ship's presence, and alarms soon echoed through the station's halls. Elite guards rushed to contain the breach, but the humans had anticipated this, setting traps and disabling security systems to slow the enemy's advance. Fierce firefights erupted in narrow corridors, but the human team fought with determination and skill, pushing forward despite being outnumbered. Captain Carson coordinated with the boarding team, offering support and guidance as they made their way to the Central Command Core. Once there, the team broadcast the uncovered evidence across the Empire's own communication networks, revealing the corruption and weakness that had been hidden for so long. The message spread like wildfire, sparking confusion and anger among the Zalthar citizens and soldiers. Rebellious factions within the Empire, long suppressed by fear and control, found hope in the humans' actions and began rising up against their corrupt leaders. The station's defenses faltered as mutiny and doubt spread through the ranks. Faced with the crumbling loyalty of their own people, the Zalthar commanders could no longer maintain their hold on power. Captain Carson and her crew fought their way back to the Dauntless, the station now shaking with internal conflict and loss of control. The humans slipped away just as reinforcements arrived, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed by the truth they had revealed. The Zalthar's grip on their territories weakened quickly as rebellion spread, and what once seemed like an unstoppable empire now faced the possibility of collapse. For the humans, this was not just a victory of battle, but a turning point that showed the power of courage, honesty, and the will to fight for a better future. The Dauntless sailed away from the shattered station, its crew tired but hopeful, knowing that their mission had ignited a fire that could bring freedom to countless worlds. The galaxy was watching, and the story of one human ship daring to challenge. An empire was becoming a legend, one that promised change and a new dawn for all who sought justice and peace. After the daring assault on the Central Command Station, the Zalthar Empire began to crumble from within. The once mighty rulers who had controlled vast regions of the galaxy now found themselves facing a wave of rebellion and distrust among their own people. The secrets exposed by Captain Maya Carson and her crew had ignited a fire that no amount of force could extinguish. Different factions within the Empire, tired of corruption and lies, rose up and challenged the old order. Without strong leadership or loyalty, the Zalthar fleet struggled to coordinate their defenses, and many ships simply refused to fight. The Empire that once seemed untouchable was breaking apart piece by piece, and the galaxy watched in astonishment. However, the humans did not seek to claim power for themselves. Instead, they reached out with offers of peace, cooperation, and shared knowledge. Captain Carson believed that the future of the galaxy did not lie in conquest, but in unity. The Dauntless and its crew worked tirelessly to help rebuild systems damaged by years of conflict and neglect, sharing technology and ideas that could improve life for all species. These gestures of goodwill surprised many, especially the former, enemies of humanity who had expected humans to act as conquerors or invaders. Instead, the humans showed a spirit of partnership and hope. Slowly, alliances formed among the once divided races, inspired by the courage and determination of the Dauntless's crew. Stories of the ship that challenged an empire became legends, told in spaceports and council chambers alike. It was proof that no matter how powerful or advanced a civilization might be, it was never beyond reach when faced with unwavering resolve and bravery. Captain Carson's vision of a galaxy built on respect, rather than domination, began to take shape as old rivalries softened and new friendships grew. Trade routes reopened, and joint efforts to explore and protect the stars were launched. The darkness of fear and oppression gave way to a new dawn, one where species worked together to face common challenges rather than fight each other. Yet the path was not easy. Many still doubted whether peace could last, and some feared that the fall of the Zalthar Empire would lead to chaos and power struggles. But the humans remained steadfast, continuing to lead by example, proving that courage and kindness could change even the coldest hearts. As the galaxy slowly healed, the Dauntless became a symbol of hope and unity, a reminder that even a single ship, crewed by determined individuals, could alter the course of history. Captain Maya Carson looked out at the stars with quiet pride, knowing their journey was far from over. The challenges ahead were many, but the bonds formed in the wake of the Empire's collapse were stronger than ever. The humans had shown that greatness was not measured by strength or technology alone, but by the willingness to stand up for what was right, no matter the odds. In this new era, the galaxy was united not by fear or conquest, but by a shared dream of peace and prosperity. Thanks to the courage of one human ship that dared to face the untouchable, a new chapter had begun, one filled with hope, cooperation, and the endless possibilities of the stars.